Midland, Texas. Just here. Day before yesterday, I had a burglar alarm go off in my attic inside my home, and as a motion detector caught it on camera, got it filmed, uploaded to Facebook and YouTube, posted it. This probably that's probably happened over 100 times, and all manners, with people here while I'm taking a bath, and just an incredible amount of evidence of these repeated burglaries of my home. And so I posted this video on my YouTube channel under Buddy Webb. It's called Burglary in Progress 320. This is to give me a documentation, because once all these crimes are the truth comes out, and then the underground facility and the people are protecting it, and all the murders, and we know all that. There's going to be this huge, list of documentation, and there's going to be this one that there was a burglary on this day, and there was, and pretty much it's every day, but not every day do I have documentation and proof of it. This one, the burglar alarm went off while I was, and I got my camera recorded. Well, then in the comments and everything, I mentioned the Hobbs Act, and I'm going to go deeper into the Hobbs Act in a minute, but basically that's saying that you can't terrorize a person into moving home. You cannot gain property, real estate, by terrorizing the owner of the property, and then paying off corrupt police to look the other way, while you get the deal of the century because you're terrorizing, some property owner. And so some of the comments were real interesting. Here's one. The question is not why you don't move. The question is what are they doing down there? And the question is, why isn't the feds doing anything about it? And that's a part of the Hobbs Act, because it has to do with public corruption. Why isn't law enforcement actually doing something about these felonies, about these crimes? Because we all have certain rights here in America, and the right to be protected in our home. There's nothing more important than our home, and I paid taxes all my life. I paid for police to protect me, and so I'm gonna go over basically move comments and the Hobbs Act, who I've talked to, the terrorism, and how that works. And so first I want to go, and you can go to Google or whatever, and just Google the Hobbs Act, okay? And basically it says, whoever in any way or degree obstructs, delays, or affects commerce, okay? That'd be like the sale of a home, okay, or a commodity, etc., by robbery or extortion, or attempts or conspires to do so. And that's a big word, conspires. So if you're a group of people that are working together so you can gain property, okay, shall be fined under this title in prison not more than 20 years, okay? And then it's going to define that. And basically extortion means the obtaining of property from another with his consent, induced by wrongful use of actual or threatened force, violence, fear, or under color of official right. And so I'm going to show you there. I'm going to show you the death threats. I'm going to show you the very real threat of violence, of death, the repeated attempts to people either asking, suggesting, telling, or ordering me to sell my home and move, and that is at the price they want. They don't just want me to sell the home; they want to set the price too. And just for I made a point of that one day. As far as the price goes, I said I decided to sell my home, and I made a Facebook post. And then all of a sudden I get all these people that never comment on my stuff, and they're, I think that's a great idea, and they didn't read the whole thing, because at the bottom I said the price is $1 billion. Well, it's my home, I set the price, right? Well, the thing is okay, I'm sick and tired of you ordered me to sell my home, so now the price is $1 billion. Pay up. If you want me to move, then pay the money. If not, get with the secret police and go shoot some other homeowner or terrorize some other homeowner. And of course they didn't read the whole Facebook post. What I want to do is go over first. We've got to, do the establishment that, hey, if let's say there's oil under your land, or you're on a land that's got gold and somebody knows that, and they want that property because it's important. Well, here there's an underground facility here. I've had multiple people tell me it's $1 million underground facility, and And so obviously that would be worth a lot of money, and you know, so you know, it would make sense that they might want to pay off some public officials and terrorize you out of your home, and you know, they might try to murder you first and get it for free, and if that don't work, then terrorize you. You know, and I do believe this is a crime ring, a gang working together. Okay, and so this one came in from a you know, Facebook conversation one night. It says my home is sitting on some underground facility, which is really important. I said that. This Rhonda Denman Rogers says, yes, I know it is. It's a half block away. Okay. And so I print screen her saying, you know, it's a half block away, underground facility. This guy, Ricky Ronaldo, he used to live in my house. I used to live in that house. Oh, yeah, really? And he says, yeah, when I was a kid, there were tunnels underneath the house. Me and my brother would go down there. Okay. So then we got another person here. Betty Shipley. I'm showing this picture, and here's my home, and that's where I was shot with, and this on Fair Circle here in Midland, Texas, and behind my home is the alley, and then the back of Home Depot. That's a secluded truck unloading lane. This is the Home Depot store. And what I was showing is it looks like the asphalt's cut right here, and when you project it out, it looked like it goes directly to my home. Okay, so that's why I was going, I wonder if there's a tunnel cut here. Maybe they're going in the Home Depot store and coming under here, and then they hide out here, and then that's where they burglarize the homes, still have their underground parties or whatever, and they kill the homeowner that lives here. But anyway, I'm showing all this on Facebook, and we're talking about underground facility, and Betty Shipley says, I know for sure it's there. Okay, landman Betty Shipley. Okay, here's another guy, and that name was Eric Ornelius. It could be used for a getaway, smuggling tunnel, and then he goes on and he says there are 3 main entrances next to Sonic, behind Target, and through the manhole and the drive. I actually think it's probably inside homes, is one or more homes is where the homes, but basically I had this because he mentioned these underground entrances. I want to show you this. That right there, that's Target. That's big enough to drive a car in, okay? And they're going underground here in this big ditch. And there's the Home Depot store. My home's right on the other side of the Home Depot store. So anyway, that was just one other person there talking about that. And then I think it's proof that there's underground facility here. Like I said, $1 million underground facility and tunnels, etc. Is the fact that I called the DEA and reported an underground tunnel or suspected smuggling tunnel, and then 2 weeks later I'm ambushed and shot in my home. My phone lines were cut. That's why I crawled out. And so I've showed this proof over and over again. The size of pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes different than my gun, proving I wasn't shot with my gun. Ballistic evidence. No empty shotgun shell was found, proving I wasn't shot with my gun. Large amount of plastic found in the wound. That wouldn't be found if I'd been shot with my gun. More proof. Lisa Rogers said I was shot with a .45. Well, I wasn't, you know, we know I wasn't shot with a shotgun. Proof that I told police about now stolen evidence. They sneaked into my house and stole it. Proof of x-rays faked. Okay, absolute proof. Timestamps on the x-rays are before they were ordered. Secret police caught on camera sneaking in, covering up murder attempt. And then the history of repeated burglaries at this house, not to mention the previous homeowner dying 2 weeks, you know, before I bought the home. And so it's really clear that this was a capital murder attempt. Okay, and so I'm not going to get into that, but the next thing I wanted to, let's define burglary. Well, you know, burglary might mean one thing to you, one thing to me, but here's what it means in Texas, okay? In Texas, it commits an offense if you enter this habitation, okay, enters a building or habitation, and attempts to commit a felony, theft, or assault. Enter means to intrude any part of the body. So that would be like if you were holding a gun, you were underneath my home holding a gun, then you would be a burglar, okay? Then I'd be shot during a home invasion. That's what that means. Theft of services, it says person commits theft of service if the intent to avoid payment for service that actor knows provided for compensation, such as shelter, light, electricity. And that all along I've been saying they're stealing from me. What are they stealing? They're stealing services. They're stealing heating, cooling, electricity. You know, it costs a true small fortune, you know, and people want to minimize that, except that they're doing it under the threat of death, you know, and intentionally or knowingly diverts the other services. And not to mention then there's the public corruption, because I've reported these crimes. Okay, let's look at some of the messages I've got here. This is from a Shannon Jeter in Lovington. This was a longer message, and he's telling me they can kill you and get away with it. He also told me, he says, good luck finding a DA that's going to press charges on a cop, and which kind of insinuated that it was a cop that tried to murder me in my home, that a cop is the would-be killer that sneaked in and shot me. And that was Shannon Jeter that did that. Okay. But then the main thing here, to stop publicizing their business, which their business is human trafficking, sex trafficking, etc., then you go buy you another home. Okay, so basically you go buy another home or they're going to kill you. That's what Shannon Jeter was telling me. Okay, and then here's this Joseph Marlis, and he's telling me, he says, you need to move. Okay, I see two options. You see God early or you move. Okay, and Lance Eggleston contacted me on private messenger. He said, remember, we know who you are. We know where you sleep. We have access to your residence at all times. No one will ever believe your story. We will come again, you know. And at that time, I didn't know. I thought he was a cop, you know. I'm like, you know, are you a good guy or a bad guy or what? And then he comes in and says, you will be silenced, not if, but when. And I just wrote back, when are you going to murder me, Lance? And I print screened this, and I posted it on my Facebook, and then I sent it to the then chief of police, Bryce Robinson, and probably saved my life, you know, and that I made that public. And so, and that's not all of them here. I just combined some together, you know. Here's this Erica Camille. Fast forward 2 weeks and Mr. Buddy Webb is nowhere to be seen. No one has seen or heard from him in several days. Police are looking for leads into his whereabouts. Austin Pressey, here, I'm going to call them and have them do a wellness check on you. You're starting to worry people. Kathy Backus, he's spreading everything all over the net with everyone's name, and he's going to wind up being in a hole, okay? Randy Wallace, you best stop worrying about it, laughing aloud. They're going to get the snitch. You know, you report crime to your home, they break into your home, and then you're a snitch? What? You know, and here's a Tracy McClure. You might want to check your vents in your house then, circulation of oxygen, etc. Okay. And so, and there's many more. I'm just giving you just barely touching it. Okay. Burglar alarms going off in my home. Part of the terrorism to steal property. Okay. Now this is the nurse's notes on the night that I was shot. Basically, it's timestamp minutes after I shot, and she's writing down what I said. And what I said was there's sirens going off. They kept going off. And I also told her there's a voice recorder recording what was happening. And remember, the police were in the room. Rosie Rodriguez was in the room at the time. That's documented. And I was talking on a white voice recorder in case something happens to me. There's proof. Go look. There's proof. And what they did was go see Rodriguez is in the room. And what they did was go to my home, try to disable the camera, and accidentally started it and stole the proof and got caught on camera. And then they stayed secret for 6 years until I paid a private investigator to identify them. This is interesting. Just got out of the hospital. Look at the timestamp on that in 2012. Okay, that time frame. I mean, I barely just returned from surviving a premeditated for-profit capital attempted murder, and I had these. They were disconnected my cameras in the attic at the time, and I had them burglar alarms going off for a long time. This is on my and basically all I did was go to my YouTube and did a search for burglar alarm, and you go through, and you can do that. Go to my YouTube channel under Buddy Webb, and you'll just see a record, and this is only a partial record. I mean, there's hundreds of these, and I haven't even recorded every time that night. Sure hadn't uploaded every single time a burglar went on. And the truth is they've been here many more times than that. Okay, many more times than when they've set off the burglar alarms. And there's relentless, nonstop crimes going on here. Okay, my first call for a felony burglary was in November 9th, 2010, and that wasn't for somebody in my attic. That was somebody that I thought was inside my home. I saw proof somebody was in my home. There's the two police officers. Immediately, they called me crazy. I was a 27-year company man, you know, never had a felony, moved down here, volunteered to lead the United Way down. I had somebody break in my house. I noticed it, and all of a sudden, I was being called crazy automatically right off the bat, you know. My second call, a couple of months later, and this was in January 8, 2011, and that time I did hear somebody in the attic. and I was in the closet. I was scared to death. Interesting, April Chandler's husband was in on that call, come to my house, and this time, once again, they called you crazy, okay? But that was the first time that I called and reported somebody in my attic, and then a year later, I'm ambushed and shot after just, countless felony burglaries at my house, Okay. Now remember, part of this is public corruption, because it only works if you're trying to terrorize somebody at your house if the police look the other way, okay? And that way you can get the bargain. You can get the property at the price you want. You can buy the oil wells for $1, okay? Say somebody has oil wells for $1 and you want to buy them, but he don't want to sell, and so you get with your buddies and you terrorize them and you break into his house and you shoot him, and then you get your other friends go, I would sell that home if I was you, or I'd sell them oil wells if I was you. But the other part of that is the guy sitting there calling the police, calling the mayor, calling the attorney general, taking the proof to the FBI and the Texas Rangers, going, please stop these crimes against me. I'm an American citizen. Please. Okay, this is an email to Mayor Morales, the entire city council, called burglary of a habitation and theft of services at 3802 Fair Circle, one of many that's sent to many people, July 10th, 2018. And I described the history of my first call, described the murder attempt, shot during a burglary, and I put links to videos with burglar alarms going off. And it doesn't have them all, but there was 50 of them. 50 videos sent to the mayor, the city council of Midland, Texas, just last year. I didn't even get a response, okay? I've talked to Congressman Conaway. He suggested I contact the U.S. Inspector General Horowitz. I did that over 100 times. And basically, the reason you'd report them, the reason that you contact the Inspector General, was to report the FBI and the DEA and other federal offices for corruption, because I've contacted the DEA and the Department of Justice and the FBI. And nobody at all. I can't find anybody at all that is enforcing the law. It's like they just allowed these crimes. This was a packet of evidence I sent to the FBI. Here's the date on it. I sent it registered mail, so I knew they had it. It contained a flash drive, so I had audio and video. This contained proof of the capital murder attempt, my live proof of them, of the horrific medical crimes that went on, the intentional maiming, mutilation, faking x-rays. There's evidence on the murder of 13-year-old Haiti Dunn, evidence on the last homeowner, on other people that are murdered, and death threats, and all this evidence. And then I get a call on it from an FBI agent that I secretly recorded, telling me he's going to shred this, that 3-ring binder, and that he's going to shred it, and evidence in a murder attempt. Amazing. Nothing happens, crimes committed. And remember when I started, day 4 yesterday, I had a burglar alarm going off in my home. Okay, now let's go look at the other side of it. This is one thing that just come out in the video, and that's when a person on YouTube says, "Hey, you need to make a video about this, about the Hobbs Act and about all these move comments." And I said, "That's a good idea, because here's the one I was going. This guy, why don't you just move?" That has gone on. And once again, here I am. I said, when it's okay to break into my home and shoot me, then it's okay to break in your home too, And the crimes aren't stopped by hiding and running, And I went on and said, Walmart doesn't build a new store when you have a shoplifter. You arrest the criminal. That's why we pay the police. Why would I move with somebody breaking into my home? You arrest the criminal, and then we can all live safe in my home, because the same people breaking my home can break into your home. Same people shot me can shoot you. Same secret police sneaked in my home and stole evidence can sneak into your home, okay? And then I went over the Hobbs Act, which I already read to you earlier, and that was just in reference to why don't you just move? Because, if this guy or this PCB Films or whatever, if they were part of the crime ring or they knew about the underground facility, then they could get charged with violation of the Hobbs Act and do 20 years in prison if they're working with this crime. They're conspiring to gain property, okay? Now, let me tell you, here's some of the rude comments, okay? Just effing move, okay? And then being called mentally ill when I have absolute undeniable proof. That's the slander. Here's another one, okay? This is Betty Thomas. Sell and move the F out, you moron. No, milk it for 20 years, right? And once again, I quoted the Hobbs Act, you know, like look, Betty, if you happen to, if somehow we find out that Betty Thomas knows about this underground rape and murder facility near this house, this $1 million facility, then this comment, this documented comments, get you 20 years in prison if the rule of law ever returns. Okay. And then here, this was a Facebook post I broke up. Here's different people. Jacqueline, I'd move. Thomas, move. Joy Evans, sell your house and move. Tammy Lindsay, put your house on the market and move. Cassidy, pretty scary stuff, I'd move. Okay. Now, one of the key things here that I always look for on somebody suggesting moving, okay, Leah Britt, I've known all my life, move in capitals. Holly, have you ever thought about relocating? Why don't you move? Leave the house for your safety, please. Parker Davidson, I would have moved. This is only page 2. Okay, these are all different people. And these are only just a drop in the bucket. Why does I stay there in Midland? Why don't you move? And there's Betty again. Yeah, you don't know before they do worse to you, okay? Besides shooting me, crippling me for life. They tried to murder me. I'm supposed to be dead. You know, I mean, they didn't cut my phone lines for me to be alive. Why don't you move out of the place? If I were you, I'd move. Have you considered selling and moving before they actually kill you? I would move. Hadley, get out. Are you still living there? Okay, but how come all these people aren't going, why isn't the police arresting the criminals? Can't them same criminals come to my house and shoot me and my family? Yes, they can. And you know, what if they want your property, right? And you know, what if they want to obtain your property with your consent under the fear of actual or threatened violence, okay? And what they do is pay off corrupt police to look the other way. Well, now you see what's going on. So maybe me staying in my home will save them or save you in your home. Because if I can't live safe in my home, then you can't live safe in your home. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.